start out with a quick little monologue here. Everything I'm going to show you is just to help you. It is not an ideal, perfect, 100% guarantee. Do not, please do not use this as the be all end all. It is just another indicator, another confluence, just like everything else we've talked about. All right. It doesn't matter what I say. I'm not in charge of any of this. Just showing you what I've got. I've got everything up on the screen now. I'm going to delete it all and start over. I know that sounds crazy, but I want you to see everything that I've got on the screen and what it looks like now, right? You see it all. Okay, cool. We're going to wipe the slate clean on this one and start fresh on a brand new Bitcoin chart. Just wanted you to understand and see what I had up there, okay? All right. So I guess I'll use the Bitstamp one as the example. And we'll go through and eliminate this stuff one at a time. Then I'll start with the settings on how we get to all of this stuff. I'm going to leave the words up here, okay? I'm just going to delete the fibs and take the fibs off and we'll redo them all right? You'll understand why what's up there is up there once I get it drawn out, okay? First, where are fib time zones? What are fib time zones? This is the same thing as regular Fibonacci retracement, only instead of going up and down, we're going left and right now, okay? The magical thing we have about this in our back pocket here is that time is, the way we use time is extremely linear. It's 12 o'clock every day at the same time. It's 3:30 in the afternoon every day at the same time, all right? So since it's linear, we can use Fibonacci numbers to tell us when certain key points come along. In fact, I would argue they're a little bit more accurate than up and down because we can't necessarily predict the up and down, but we know tomorrow is coming. Now, we might not be here, but we know tomorrow is coming, all right? So Fibonacci time zones are over right next to Fibonacci retracement in the toolbar section. You see, I got Fibonacci. It's the second one down. I got fib retracement, fib base extension, fib channel, and then fib time zones right here. All right, so I'm going to click on that. I'm going to just draw a random BS one right in the middle of the screen. What you're going to have is not going to look like this. What you're going to have is going to be an all blue. All right, so I'm going to show you this now. So whenever you get a Fibonacci time zone, you could put just a random one on the screen like I just did. Click on your settings. And you need to change all your numbers to what the numbers I have on the screen here are. It doesn't have to be in this order. It doesn't matter. But these are the same numbers that we use in regular Fibonacci retracement. All right, you're not going to have them when you pull it up. You're going to see that the numbers are very odd, right? So I've got the basic numbers here, all right? I've got the 0, the 382, the 236, the 618, the 50, the 1272, the 1414. You know, you got 786 in here, the 50, all the normal fibs. I didn't put 886. That's the only one that's not in here, okay? And I also added the 2 fib. All right, that's the one in gold right here. See, I've got them all in gray. Gray, 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 gray. The only ones that are in red are the 1272, the 1414, and the 1618. And then I put the number 2 fib in gold. And you'll see why I did that in a minute, okay? Now, typically, I'll almost always be in log mode. Y'all know that. That's the first thing, was to get the numbers correct on your thing, right? That's first. And yes, I got this recording. It's always recording. I'll always save them afterwards. I'm going to make a 10-minute video on this too later. That'll just be a condensed version of this with no talking. All right. Once you've got your numbers set, we're going to use this just like we do regular retracement. Now, typically you would see me only use log mode. And I think you all know that. I'm usually only going to use log mode. However, it's important to note that fib time zone may work better in linear and it may work better in log. And that's on you to pick up on once you draw these. You're going to notice it on your own. I've tinkered around with this a good bit to try to dial it in. And I've noticed that sometimes linear works a little better and sometimes log works a little better. We'll kind of walk through that as we go. Just like we've done Fibonacci retracement on Bitcoin before, we're going to do the same thing with fib time zones. Okay, so where would we start? Well, I've gone all the way back to after the first halving. Bitcoin's first halving was in November of 2012, right? After that, we had a bull market because of supply and demand. In case you don't know how that works, less Bitcoin being mined, harder to mine. What's out there is worth more, right? And we had it again and again and again. You guys know this story. Okay, cool. So here's our regular Fibonacci retracement. 2012. I've got the wrong one on this one. There you go. 2016. I messed that up. Hold on. And there we go. 2016, 2012, 2016, 2020, 2024. They're all four up here. And you can see that every single time the same thing happened in pretty much the same time frame. All right. You had your top, you had your bottom, and you had your parabolic run up. Your top, your bottom, your parabolic run up. Your top, your bottom, your parabolic run up. Same thing in 2024 that's happening now. Your top, your bottom, and your parabolic run up. As you see, pretty much every single time Bitcoin has had a halving, it has went to at least the 1618 fib. And I think we can all clearly see that here. Hit the 1618 fib. Hit the 1618. Even last time in a bad bull market, hit the 1618 twice. And here we are, 2024, our 1618 points at about 175,000. If you wonder ever how I got that point, that's how, okay? That's our basic fib retracement. The other thing you'll notice is 3 out of 4 of these are almost the exact same amount of time. The only one that was faster was 2012. All the other 3 have been the exact same time, which is pretty cool, all right? Since we know this and we know how long these markets take, and we can go back in history and we can look at the tops and the bottoms. This works great for crypto for this next reason I'm going to show you. We know when the tops and the bottoms are in. Since we know when the tops and the bottoms are in, we can pull our Fibonacci retracement as such, and we can track this thing little by little, okay? I'm going to start with the yellow arrows. Just like regular fib retracement, we're going to do this like a normal fib, okay? Grab our fib retracement, our fib time zone, just like regular fib retracement. I'll start at the top. This is a downtrend. As you can see, it was going down and down and down. And it's got a dotted trend line, just like on fib retracement. Y'all see that dotted trend line? I'm going to use that dotted trend line just like I would in the other time. So I'm pulling downward and I'm pulling downward, and it broke the trend, and I'm going to grab the very bottom wick down here. There's a wick way down here. There's a wick right here. So that's my first point and my second point. And I can see I had a pretty clear breakout right there, okay? Just on this little short fib that I've already pulled here, I can start to see some interesting points, and I can start to see the end, which is the 2 fib. I can see that the 2 fib is roughly right near the top, which is pretty neat. Right now, here's the other thing. We know this run lasted a little longer than that fib's pulled. We all know that. So I'm going to pull it out a little bit more. I'm going to pull this all the way. So now, also, I forgot to mention this, but look at the numbers here on the bottom. Since we've changed them to what we wanted, 0, 236, 382, 50, 618, 786, 1, 1272, 1414, 16. They're the exact same numbers as a regular retracement. They're just going left to right now instead of up and down, okay? Which is pretty cool. This just gives us waypoints along the way. Imagine playing Mario back in the day, and you had to go to certain waypoints to win certain things, right? We're doing that very same thing with mathematics now. I know the bull market ended on, it looks like December 2017, middle of December 2017. I know that was the top. So I can pull this fib until the 1618 goes to the top. And let's see where it lines out over here, okay? I'll pull all the way over there to roughly 1618. And what we see is if I kind of captured that little peak inside the trend line, then we see that the top pretty much come in directly in December. Maybe not perfect, but pretty darn close. We always say we're within a week or 2 weeks of what's going on. This is what I mean. We're within a week or 2 weeks of having the perfect time zone that matched this trend over here. Now, while I'm here, I'm going to flip this to linear mode. And you'll see in linear mode, it's a little messier, right? This is 2012, and it's the worst example of what we're looking for. However, I still want you to see that even though I pulled that in log mode, right around this same point, there was some price action right here that kind of hesitated and had a hard time, okay? Just showing you the linear perspective because it's going to matter in a minute. Just like a regular fib, I've pulled this and it tells me, hey, top came in December 2017, time to sell. Perfect. So I've sold. Hey, folks, when do we rebuy? When do we rebuy? We rebuy on that 2 line. Right here in gold is the 2 line. Look at how close the bottom came to this golden 2 line. For the example, this is what I'm giving, okay? I even wrote bottom was in at the 2 fib line from the previous bull run. This was the previous bull run. Here's the bottom. And it came in roughly near the 2 line. Okay, cool. No problem. On to the next bull run, which is the one we just went through. Well, so actually, this one I went through, most of y'all guys didn't, but I was here. I remember this shit. I remember it, okay? So, same situation. We've already rebought. That was in our green circle right there. Now we've got our top. We have our bottom down here. I'm going to drag this over. We kind of already know how much time we needed. If we see the top come in directly at the 1618 right here, do you see that? Directly, I mean, literally on the same number as the 1618. What's pretty darn close. I'm going to line this up with this little wick that I seen right here because it looks pretty close to the same area. And this is also tied into the bottom over here so that you'll see where we're close to the 1618 no matter what here. Week or two off again, right? Same thing when it was time to sell. Here was our time to buy at the 2 fib. It was a reversal, right? So, again, I said it. Bottom was in at the 2 fib from the previous bull run, that golden line. All right, cool. We have another bull market coming up right now. I think you're all very much aware of this. Been talking about it forever. So, here we go. We grab our top, we grab our bottom, and we drag it across. I know that if I count the same amount of time from the last 2 bull markets, that I'll come out to roughly December 2025 as being the point when it's over and done and time to walk away. I'm going to get a green circle over here with a 2 fib that tells me somewhere around in here is where I'm going to rebuy when the time comes. All right. Here's where the linear mode helps a little bit. If I flip this to linear, you'll see it's a little bit easier as Bitcoin has grown and become more easy to monitor, so to speak. The price action starts to clear up a little bit and it's a little easier to see and a little easier to read. So I can see right about through here, we had multiple little breakouts. We had a bit of a bottom formation here, and then it really broke out right here. So more than likely, this was our trend that we needed to break, and we finally broke it. Again, I'm not being super scientific with this. It's not necessary. I just want to get close. Just let me get close. We can see that the 1618 comes out to roughly October or November 2025. Maybe even September. I don't know yet, but I know right in this area now is likely going to be our top. That means that 2 fib will be our chance to rebuy all the way back here in roughly the end of 2026 somewhere. Could be September, could be January. Hell, I don't know. I'll know more when we get there. All right? I don't know for sure yet. We'll monitor that more as we go. Obviously, we can pull a fib in the other direction. We can get a new time zone, et cetera, et cetera. This is the basis of what I'm looking for on every single chart that I share this on. If you see me share it, this is the simple stuff that I'm going through first. What do all the other lines mean? That's the next part. What I'm seeing through fib retracement and fib time zones is these fib time zones kind of show me an important time period when something's about to happen, one way or the other. If you go back and look at the 236 fib, for instance, which is vertically right here, all right, I had a roughly bottom formation come in right there, and it started to kind of try to bounce up and move. It flattened out, and there wasn't much more down, so to speak. Same thing around the 382. It tried to rebound, but again, reversal happened right around the line. Here we go again at the 50 fib, and as you see, we had a bit of a reversal up. 618 fib kind of stayed flat. That one was a little bit of disappointment, but look at the 786, which is up here. This vertical line is a 786. Once it hit that, gone. And it really hasn't looked back. Obviously, this is in linear mode. I can flip it to log, and it doesn't look much different. As Bitcoin has matured, you're getting to notice here that the chart, log or linear, isn't too much different. As we keep going, it's going to get closer and closer and closer. It'll be a lot like the Dow Jones. It's very, very old, so it doesn't matter log or linear anymore. Nonetheless, you can see the price action jump at the 786, which is really cool. All right, so going forward, what do the rest of the lines mean? Well, our one line is kind of another waypoint, just like the other ones were, just waypoints, seeing what's happening, kind of gives us an idea of when things might happen. Looking forward, I've talked a lot about how I think the end of 2025 will be a good time to take profits. Why is that? Well, first of all, it's the end of the year. It'll be post-election. It'll be coming into alt season. Perhaps we get a pullback before we get that alt season. That's my thought process. And the reason I say that is Bitcoin has a red take profit line or a reversal line on these fib extensions like you're seeing right here. This 1272 is directly on December 2024, right at the end of the year. All right. I think we may see a top come in right here and kind of slow things down just a little bit before we get a reversal back up in that April or May area. So I'll draw it out for you. This thing goes up and up and up and does its junk for the rest of the year, something like this. You know, I'm just spitballing. I don't really know. We get to this point and everything slows down a little bit, starts to roll back. And then we get to the next red line, and that's when things reverse again, up again. Here we go back again. We're going up again and riding high. And I don't know how high yet because obviously I don't have a crystal ball. But I have this box drawn because that's the 1618. We get to this level, that may be all she wrote. Could we go higher? Sure. I don't know yet. That's this chart, right? Sure, we could get up here where these emojis are. I don't know yet. What I do know is I can look at the time zone and I can see how much time we have left in between moves. And I can see that from now until the end of the year, we should continue to have mostly up. There will be some down in there. Obviously, on a shorter span, we'll see more down. How can I use this in other areas? Well, here's the really cool stuff. This is the last recent move on Bitcoin. I'll flip it to linear mode. This trend line can go. All right, we can pretty clearly see that you had, excuse me, an uptrend here that kind of flattened out, yeah? I think we all see that. That's not that hard to see. Since that's not hard to see, let's grab a fib time zone. We'll start down at the bottom, just like a fib. We'll pull up. It was an uptrend. Let's pull up. Up and up and up we go. All right, cool. So, same situation. Bounced the 50 fib, kind of bounced the 618, 786. It kind of started to think about reverse, and then it did. It got to the 786 and kind of went flat. Got to the zero line, thought about it, made another move. And here we are going right back up to these take profit fibs again where it might reverse. Sure enough, it hit this one and reversed back down sideways. Now we're reversing back up. What's next? Well, it looks like on a short-term time frame that the top of June or the end of June may be a little bit of a top formation. Not quite sure yet. And we have this over here, this August 2024 line, this 2 line. Don't know whether that's a sell or rebuy line yet, but more so it gives me a waypoint to see that this date down here may be important. This date right here may be important. And I don't know yet. Don't know yet. But what I'm getting is more data to make a better decision. The really cool crap is when you tie this all together. Let me back out to weekly. You'll see what I mean. So erase these little short ones I just did right here. And my son came in here and said, when are you going to teach me more about charting? I've been asking him to come in here for months. And he comes in here and I start talking to him. He's like, well, I think it's going to go up here. And so I wrote it down. It'll be 80,000 by June 24th, right? Because he saw the same lines that I'm showing you, et cetera, et cetera. And hey, 531 was when he said it. So that's why I put that there. So the other cool thing is if we combine both Fibonacci retracement and fib time zones, we get a big grid on the chart. This is called a Gann grid. All right, so if I just pulled down here with these fib extensions, this would end off already and we'd already be done. Luckily, we know this bull run will last all the way in to the end of 2025 like the other ones have done. Just showed you that. So I'm going to pull this over all the way over here to match this 1618 line. It's way over here. You see that? I'm going to match that down to the bottom. Kind of try to tie these in as closely as I can together, just so they're as close as I can get them to making a nice big Gann grid, which is what this is right here. This is just a mathematical Gann grid based on Fibonacci retracement. Very simple. I know it sounds complicated, but it's not. It's just a bunch of squares with different points on them, and every single point is a new possibility, right? We're above all these now, and we are now off into the extension grids. As you can see, we're playing around with breaking all-time high again. And I think we all smart enough to know it's going to break all-time high and keep going. And if you're not smart enough to know that, where have you been? What have you been hiding under? Pay attention. We talk about this nonstop in the Discord. Are you kidding me? Like I talk about it all day, every day. All the way till 3 in the morning I'm up talking about this. While y'all are watching movies or goofing off or whatever, The killers are in here grinding. And why aren't you listening? Right? That's what I say to everyone. So don't take it personal. Now that we're inside of this square right here, do you see that? That's where I expect us to stay until we break out of it. So where are my interesting points? Well, I have a crossing of squares right here at about 104, 872, or around 100, right? So I'll keep that as an important point, and that looks like that's 100,000 in December. Could we break above that? The answer is yes. We have a new square for that right up here, right? This shows us that same thing, we're either going to be 130 or 100 by the end of December or in the middle of December in general, right? Really cool stuff, really cool thing to show us basic moves left and right and up and down. It's not an indicator. It's the second thing down under Fibonacci retracement on the tools. That's what I was saying at the beginning. And then the recording you'll see back. You have to go back and look at the settings in the recording if you showed up late. If I go to a different coin and do the same thing, we get similar results. I'll pull up Velo as an example. I've been in Velo recently. We've all made moves recently, yada, yada. So this is the normal fib that I've been looking at here, just kind of watching it. I think it's whatever. Like linear log, doesn't matter. We hit a fib either way. So I'm going to take this off, and I want to do fib time zones on this, just like I did Fibonacci retracement. And I'll do them both log and linear so we can see both. Now, in linear mode, you could argue that this was a bottom and this was a top, and we should pull a fib up. So let's try that. I want you to kind of experiment around with this a little bit and try it for yourself because you may find different results. It's not perfect. It's just a helper. Okay. So from the bottom up to the top right there, I followed the trend. And what do we see? Just like Bitcoin was doing, to the red lines is when things typically start reversing one way or the other, one way or the other. And here we are getting right up next to it, which is actually June 6th, which is tomorrow. But the day before, we started moving up. Pretty neat. Now, are we going to chop through all these and then fail down? I think that might be possible. We'll see. I don't know how high we go yet. I just know that something is going to happen between now and the middle of June, right? Then the 2 line is way over here, all the way back in June 26th, our next point of interest after these. So the month of June will be interesting for Velo. We can look at this and see this. The month of June will probably be interesting for Velo. Could we pull this back farther? Yes, we could. Go all the way back down to these wicks. How about that? How about that? I'm an idiot. All right, so from the bottom, following the trend up, all the way to the top right here, and back down. Here we are, same situation coming into those red lines. Are we going to break north and keep going? I think so. And the 2 line is way over here in July, as you see in the dates at the bottom. That's July, right around July 5th, July 6th, right near the holiday. So again, June and July looks like they may be interesting for Velo. So I'm going to keep my eye on it. Right? Also, combine this with your regular fibs. Hey, I got a big line right here of power around 0.015, 0.0148, something like that. I bet you it hangs onto that line. I've got Fibonacci time zones telling me we might reverse up here, we might not. So between now and this, by the way, bigger time zone that I've got right here shows me that looks like July 1st could be an interesting line because that's my 786. I just showed you Bitcoin breaking north on the 786 a minute ago. Now you see Velo approaching the same point. Pretty cool. You'll find that some of these are ahead, some of them are behind. Up for you to play around with it and see what you think. I found pretty good results, not perfect results. All right. Obviously, it gets a little messy. So before you do all this, know that the chart may be very messy by the time you go to share it, and you could probably dial it in a little bit better or erase some stuff before you go passing it around, thinking you got it whipped. Because people are probably going to flame you for having a terribly hard to look at chart. Credi. Just before the stream, I was kind of looking at this one. I think it's very clear we got an uptrend here. So I'll grab this, pull it up. Pretty interesting to see that After we had this extremely stout uptrend, I'll flip it in linear mode, it might be a little easier to see. Yeah, it is. After we had this extremely violent uptrend, hit our red lines, and we started trying to reverse. We cut right through them at first. Last one, bam, she tried to reverse. 2 lines, same thing. Now we're off into new ones. Now we can pull a new Fibonacci time zone from the top to the bottom, just like we do with regular fibs. Play around with this a little bit, see what you come up with. You may come up with something completely different than me, and then we can kind of compare them, see what we got. I'm not exactly sure how far to pull this one out yet. It looks a little incomplete to me. If I just followed that very sharp one right there, well, the 2 line is approaching right now. We're not exactly there, but we're getting close. And this would have helped us clue in on this and say, hey, everybody, we're approaching this golden number 2 line here. Let's keep our eyes open. Something may happen. And then everyone starts looking. Oh, hey, we're all watching now. Now we can take advantage of this. This could have helped me a ton back in the day. I'll give a good example of Algorand back in the day. Binance. All right, let's just erase all this, shall we? I think that's probably best. Remove 18 drawings. All right, here's the last market. It was so painful, dude. The best TA work I've ever done was on this chart, and it also made me hardly any money at all. But I was within 1% of being perfect, which is pretty cool. This would have helped even more. So grabbing the top, pulling all the way to the end of the bull run, which we know was roughly October, November, right? I'll pull this all the way down. You're going to have to argue with yourself on whether or not you want to include all the COVID wicks, which are over here. That's tough, man. I don't know whether to tell you yes or no. Good news is on fib time zones, it doesn't too much matter whether you grab every single wick perfectly or not. It's more so just where you place the line. Cool stuff here. We had our top, and then this thing slowly but surely chopped through the bottom all the way to the 3rd and final line before she finally started to try to break north. Now we're approaching this 2 line. Now I'm pressed. I'm wanting to get rid of this one because it's killing me. It has made me hardly any money at all. But I'm at the 2 line. So what do? I'm not quite sure. I should have just waited on this, in my opinion. I probably should have just waited on this until it did more. Knowing that it didn't reverse very well at these 3 lines right here probably should have been assigned to me. Well, everything else is reversing. Why isn't it? And so forth and so on. Trying to dial it in the best I can. This is another example, like I'm saying, of how it could have helped me. Here's a very sharp downtrend. Yeah. Let's put it in linear mode to double check. It looks really funky in linear mode, doesn't it? So that wasn't much help. Back to log. Again, like we were approaching that 2 line a second ago. Now look, we're approaching the red lines like we're going to have some sort of reversal. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to sit around and wait on this, or should I find something that looks better? Tough call, yeah? Well, if this thing doesn't get up on its horse and go after another couple of weeks of getting past this red line, brother, it's probably not going to do it. We have September coming in at the next red line when we may be slowing down and turning around going the other direction. March of next year, hey, that might be when the alt season kicks off. This might not even be worth being in until we get all the way over here. This will help us eliminate shit in the meantime. I'm mostly going to use it on higher time frame stuff. Kind of tried to explain that the last 30 minutes here. More so in log than linear, but linear mode has shown me some results, and I can't deny them. So I want you to put it in log mode first to kind of draw it. Then play around with it in linear mode and try to kind of dial it in for yourself. I've tried this all the way down to the 15-minute chart, and it does show some fluidity and show that it seems to be working fairly well. Again, it's not perfect, just helping me get closer than I already was. You know, I said this about myself last bull market. Had the right play on a lot of these, had the right idea, but my timing was just a little bit off on some of them. And it ended up costing me money because I would jump out a day or two early or a day or too late. And I say that, I'm being super picky, I know that, but that wasn't always the case. Sometimes a week early or a week late, right? This will help us dial it in even better, even more closely, and even more precisely, all right? I don't want you to overthink this. If it's too hard to use, then just don't use it. All right. Don't spend a crap ton of time on something that's not helping you. But I also want you to notice 2026. Look, December 2025. It looks like this is going to be the end of the run for Algorand. That 2 line is just beckoning us over here. And if I pull this all the way to the end of the bull run, I just noticed they're sitting here talking, man. Something like that. Depends on where you want to catch these wicks at the bottom, which ones you believe. Looks like we'd be rebuying if we had the top come in. It'd be December 2025 would be our top. And then our rebuy would be over here in December 2026. It looks like we already have a little bit of a cheat code on when to sell and rebuy. We'll sell here and we'll rebuy here. It's all counting on Bitcoin. We don't have a choice on what everything does when Bitcoin's the king. Everything else just follows it. So do this on Bitcoin first. How about that? Run this on BTC for yourself so you get the idea of how it works, and everything else will kind of fall into place. Have you tried combining it with high time frame EMA? Yeah, but not showing any EMAs, not showing anything else. I've done a whole bunch of different stuff with this, trying to tinker and see what works best or what doesn't work best. Pick your own shit, what you want to do later. Pick your own other indicators, the cloud, the blah, 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 whatever you want to do later. This is just fib time zones. I've been looking for a long time to learn this. I'll always post these recordings. I said that earlier. I always say that. Y'all never have to ask if I'm recording this. I record literally everything unless I tell you I'm not. All right. I always record these. Always record these, everyone. I always record them. So again, Bitcoin's a little easier. I've got fib time zones pulled up on my own Bitcoin chart right here. All the green lines are my buys. All the red lines are my sales. You guys know what I'm doing. Same thing comes up on my main Bitcoin chart here. It looks like tough to call here, but I mean, I pulled these way out just to see what I would get. And it looks like, again, November 26th to December 2026 will be our rebuy time. And, Fibonacci retracement shows me that it looks like we got at least, let me take that one off. That one's messy. Looks like we got at least 100 to 170. And if we blow the top off, then we'll head up higher. We'll know if we have time or not once these fib time zones start running out. Once they start to go away, we're going to know, oh shit, we're running out of time, man. We're running out of time. This ain't going to last much longer. We need to figure out an exit strategy before it happens. And you see I've got these red boxes, these red vertical boxes highlighted. These are important points that I think are going to come up. And the next one isn't until December. All right, so whatever's happening now, I think is going to keep happening overall until December, which is up for the moment. All right. When this rolls back and changes in December, we'll go reassess everything. That's why I said in December, I'll probably take some profits and we'll reassess. All right. Not yet, though. Going to let this summer play out. Maybe we take some in September. That's up to you. I might. I don't know yet. Depends on how rocky the world is at that time. Summer should be fun. Summer should be up. And if that's the case, like I just said, the next important waypoint isn't until December. So for the most part, you can kick back and relax. Let's go down to the daily real quick. All right. So here we are. Our current little price action at all-time high. You guys all know what this chart is. We've looked at it a zillion times. Let's do a fib time zone on it. I have a high point here and a high point here. I've tried both of these. I'm just going to pull this one because I've got the best results with this one. Again, like I said, tinker around a little bit. See what looks the best. See what works the best. There's the top. Here's our bottom. Let's pull it over and grab the trend. Looks like it broke trend right here and then ran up, made a move. 786. Then come up. Right here's the one line, and all of my red lines are inside this box that I drew, and that's why I drew the box. This box goes from like end of June to the end of July. So the month of July might be a little crazy. That would be really cool if we shot up in price, got all the way up here, right? I don't know if that's going to happen, but I highlighted that area because that area looks the most important to me. All three of these red lines are balled up inside this red box. See that? Those three lines? They're balled up inside that box or close to it. Right? And I don't have another box till all the way over here in December. So a theory of mine, because of these fib time zones that I just showed you on the daily chart right here, and linear log doesn't really matter. See? Doesn't really matter. Matter of fact, in linear, there's more stopping points here. 83,000, 90,000, 100,000, right? That's linear mode, not log. Here's my theory. We continue this green line uptrend until we get to these red lines over here that are our take profit lines or reversal lines potentially, and we reverse somewhere up here. We come up, we dance around. Yeah, that was fun. Woo, we're all rich. And then it starts to come back down, and it retraces all the way to somewhere over here on this yellow line. I don't know where exactly on this yellow line the price will be. I just know this point is likely interesting to me. So I bet you we get a sell-off at the end of July and a rebuy in August, potentially. Then we see from there. Maybe we just jog sideways. I don't know yet. But I do know that this 2 line is way over here in July. So I bet we get up through June, through July, a little bit of a pullback in August maybe. I don't know just yet. Maybe we get sideways and then we break out in August. Either way, these points remain important to me because of that. That's why you see the boxes that you see on my chart. That's why you see me drawing it the way I've drawn it. I'm using it and tinkering around with it the best I can, all right? Do you mainly use Coinbase for charting? No, I don't use Coinbase for charting much, but that's exactly why I use this one, so I could draw all over it and no one would care. I typically use Binance or the crypto pair chart if I can find it, because Binance has the most liquidity. If I can't, then I use the KuCoin or the MEXC chart, but I prefer not to use those because they're very wiki, but sometimes you don't have a choice. Usually it was max 80 days from breaking all-time high that we got 2x on BTC. We're already running late. The difference is we never broke all-time high before halving, ever, until now. The most it's ever been was 120 days. The least it's ever been was 80 days. We're in between those. We'll see what happens. So I'm thinking these don't need to rely on cycles in crypto. The time could be different for different cryptos. I would completely disagree. It shows you that almost to the week, the cycle is correct, especially on Bitcoin. And since everything else follows Bitcoin, just start with it and do it first. Everything else will fall into place, like I just said. Can you show real quick the settings you have on lines? They're at the beginning of the video. Again, here you go. Same fib numbers as the regular Fibonacci retracement. You have to put these in yourself. They will not be preloaded. You must do them yourself. All right. Can you use fib times on BTC? You can use it on any single chart that ever existed. Every single chart that ever existed. None of them are special. Not your favorite coin, not anyone else's favorite coin. They're all the same. If they have candles, they can be charted. It's that simple. As a matter of fact, if there's candles, that means it can be traded. That means there's a chart somewhere, and that means you can chart it. Don't care whether that's cars, water bottles, stuffed animals, doesn't matter. If there's a chart, we can chart it and we can see what's going to happen. Height-weight ratio for my kid was a great example, and I shared that many times. We charted my son's height-weight ratio, and it was almost down to the T. Scary, dude. It really is. Mathematics exists everywhere in life. We just choose to ignore them, and that's something I'll never do. So that's pretty much it. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's Ethereum or Bitcoin. It's all the same. Here's Ethereum. Same thing. If I pull the fib times on, I get the same results, roughly the same period of time. That's why I say probably just stick to Bitcoin first and then work off of everything else after that. Tinker around more, right? July, very important. It looks like maybe not August for Ethereum. I'm not sure yet, but this 2 lines all the way out in September. Again, Bitcoin will probably go first and everything else is going to follow it. What is a Gann box? Yeah, just what I just explained, that we just created a Gann box. You have to go watch the video back. I can't keep repeating it. So is your one line always set to the fib timeline pull? So you pull, and no, don't think about it with all that. Stop doing that. Just treat it like a regular Fibonacci retracement, like you would pull a regular fib. Don't try, what number goes here? Don't do that. Just pull it like a regular fib, like a regular old fib like you would normally pull. That's the easiest way to do it. If you start trying to tinker and go, I'm going to move this one to this, don't do that. Just regular stuff. Don't overthink any of this. Y'all are going to start overthinking. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I know cab driver will, because he overthinks everything. Don't overthink it. Simple. All right. There's the same fib I just pulled, right? So that's July 10th, July 22nd, and August 11th. All those numbers look important. And then September way over here, right? Because you can see it's behind my camera, but September. That's Ethereum. Slightly different than Bitcoin. We'll see. It doesn't really matter which one. Last one I'll do here. And look, he laughed. He knows what's up. I'm just goofing off. So we'll do XRP last. This is a highly sought after one. Again, I talked about this on live streams. 60% of y'all, whether y'all want to admit it or not, 60% of y'all and 60% of the people who watch YouTube are here for XRP. Isn't that crazy? They're not wild to you. It's let you down so much, yet 60% of y'all are still lynchpinning on it, which is madness to me. Madness to me. So let's pull the fib times on it. From the top, that's the top of the bull market, to the bottom, bottom of the bear market. Drag her over. Still dragging. It looks to me like this one's tough. These wicks are hard to pick up on which wicks to grab at the bottom here. I'm going to kind of split the difference. Nonetheless, December 2025. Our next important line we've already passed, which was March, and then we have one in December. So we got to go a little lower and tinker a little more to find a little bit better line. Same lines as Bitcoin, roughly December. All right, so we'll go a little bit farther in here, and it gets very choppy. Look how choppy this is. It's such a disappointing chart. So I see we had an uptrend here in the fall, an uptrend in the fall, an uptrend in the fall. And are we going to make another uptrend? We're going to break out. So let's just start by perhaps going down on the daily and grabbing the first one that I see. I see an uptrend right here that failed. Log, linear, doesn't matter. I'll start linear. Here's the bottom. This goes up. I'll try to catch all those wicks right there. You see that? It's pretty darn close in my opinion. We just passed 786. We're cruising to the one line at the moment. And then all of our reversal lines are over here in August, September. Just like I just said with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that tells you that area is important. Again, summer. I don't think we have, okay, so June is our next important. June 26th for XRP might be the, right around in there, middle of June. Might be the actual time we see some real movement here. I can go a little sharper than that. We have a downtrend right here. I think we can all see that one. That red line's marking it. See that little sharp downtrend? Grab the top, down to the bottom, drag it over. And I believe it's starting to storm again here. June 24th on this one is our next important line. How about that? That's roughly that same time frame, right? So middle of June or the end of June. And again, same thing over here, July, August, and then over here in October is the 2 fib. So it looks like XRP might be a little behind Bitcoin and Ethereum. You get how that worked? Bitcoin was a little earlier. Ethereum was a little later. XRP's a little later. It's not special, everyone. It's the same as everything else. It's not going to be the next magical money maker. It's all just going to do its normal thing like everything else will. I can't harp on that enough. But good news is everything down through here is a buy zone. We've talked about that before for the big move. And if you saw me do that a second ago, I'll do it one more time here. And you know what might be cool is you do this in linear mode and see if it comes out any different. Just as an experiment, right? Grab our top up here, our bottom down here. Yeah, that's actually a little better in linear mode. It's a little easier to see, you know? So maybe we're breaking out, maybe we're not, but it's very close. Let's just call it that. But again, November, December at the end of the year here is roughly when we're going to have some sort of sell-off, I think. We'll see. And if I zoom in a little bit here, we've already passed that waypoint. We don't have another one until November, December. And then from there, November 2025, show is over. Look, I drew that, and look at that line is dead ass on that 1272, where I said show is over based on the time that previous bull markets have lasted. It looks like November 2025 might be it, might be all she wrote. So let's keep an eye on that. Again, tinker around with this and see what y'all think. See how y'all think it'll work. When do you use an uptrend versus downtrend? When you see it on the chart. Simple as that. If you see an uptrend, pull it. If you see a downtrend, pull it. Test it out. See what you think. Don't hinge on me showing you a specific chart. Pick any of them. FTM. Now look, this thing's big, humongous downtrend that broke out. Now we're running up. Let's go down to daily. Here's a very sharp up and then back down. I bet you we can go all the way down to like 2 hour. Oh yeah, here we go. 2 hour chart. That was a very aggressive move for FTM. I think we can all agree. There's our bottom. Right there's our top. We kind of mark our trend right there. You can kind of see it was up and up and up. Very sharp. Very sharp. We failed, and once we failed, it came all the way down to these red lines. Thought about reversing, never did. Our next important line was our 2 line, and look, that was right about the bottom of this move, that 2 line. And then we kind of bounced around after that, kind of hanging out, doing nothing now. Pull from the top down to the bottom, because that's now a downtrend. You can clearly see that's a downtrend. You can use it both ways. Use your intellect. You can do it. Another downtrend, breakout. Here's our 1 line. Here comes our next 3 lines. Wonder what the dates are. June, middle of June, still the middle of June. This is a 2-hour chart. And then all the way over here to the end of June are all 3 of these, or 4 of these next important lines. And you see my boxes kind of reflect stopping right about where these lines. I've already done this one. So I'm already ahead of it. We'll do 1 more, and we'll do total 3, which is going to be almost identical to total 2. All right, here's our massive bull market chart. I've got fibs pulled all the way to the end of 2025. You can argue about the exact date. I'll have you can make that own argument on your own. We just passed an important point, which was April, which was roughly halving. All right, next one is in December, like we just talked about. Let's go down a little lower. You can kind of see our weekly line right here in December, our next important point. We had a very aggressive uptrend right here, didn't we? So let's just erase this green line. Let's look at this very aggressive uptrend that failed. Grab our bottom, pull it up, 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 up. Try to encompass as much of that uptrend as we can. What does that lead us out to see? We failed. Once we started to fail, started to come over to our red lines. Now we're dancing in between our red lines. What's going to happen? These lines were May, are June, middle of July, and then over here in August is their 2 line. So we'll see. Just bear in mind that these lines are here, and we're kind of chopping through them one at a time. If I put it in linear mode, it's not any different. It might last a little longer. Let me put it. See how I missed some of these wicks over here? Let's try it in linear. Pull it out a little bit more. See how I caught more of them that time, and even caught some on the backside right here? Cool. Maybe this is a little better. This tells us July, August, end of August, and then all the way over here in October, perhaps a rebuy, which might be right around elections, not electricians. I'm an idiot. So, yeah, we can kind of see what's happening step by step. Also, if you didn't catch that, last thing I'll say here, you didn't catch that. End of the bull run, end of 2025, rebuying November 2026, the end of 2026. That'll be our chance to rebuy everything. So, again, I'm telling everyone now, today is June 5th, 2024. I'm going to sell most of this stuff at the end of 2025. I'm going to rebuy probably just Bitcoin and Ethereum at the end of 2026 when the next cycle starts. I'm telling you now, 3 years in advance that I'm going to do that. 2.5 years in advance. All right? For anyone who says this doesn't work, I want you to come back to this video and remember this. Remember that I said this. Remember that I pointed all this out, and I told you I was going to do it way ahead of time. All right? I don't even like doing that, but I can't argue with the math, and I can't deny it. Okay? I even drew locks over here on the chart where I said, hey, this level is a lock, and we're literally in it right now. I drew this one up here as a likely money zone. It's all the way up at $2 trillion. We're only at 700 right now. That's at least a 2.5 to 3x on whatever. On whatever. This is total 3, by the way. Everything but Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I'm going to put this whole entire recording on YouTube. I'm going to condense this down to 10 minutes or so to make a short, smaller video that'll be added to the instructional videos. This video will be added to the Discord classes section. You'll see it when you look in in the educational material. There's an instructional video section. You'll see it says Discord classes. This will be in that section. You click on it. There's an entire friggin' playlist. You can go back and watch these over again. So, thank y'all for being here. We had a bunch of people on here, dude. We had like 60 at one point, which is pretty neat. That means everyone wants to learn, which just kind of makes me happy. So, post up some charts after you tinker around with them for a little bit. Screw around with them. See what you think. Find some examples, post them in the unlimited chat. We can all work on this together and dial it in. Maybe you see something different than I see, and then we'll compare them, and then we'll see which one's best, and we can all make more money together. That's the whole point of our Discord. It's not to get signals from Keith. It's not to ask everyone what to buy and sell. It's to compare so that we all make more money together. All right? Thank y'all. Y'all be good. I'm going back to the damn pharmacy because they gave me too many pills. They gave me too many controlled substances, everyone. Whose fault is that? Is that my fault for paying for them? Or is it the pharmacist's fault for giving me all those pills for my kid that aren't even mine? Gave me 9 months worth of a controlled substance. Are you kidding me? Anyway, I'm going to correct that now. I don't care how much it costs. I just paid for it, right? That's what we do for our kids. We just pay for it. We don't care how much it costs, whatever. So anyway, back to the pharmacy I go. Y'all be good. I'll be back on here in about an hour. I'm going to go fight this traffic. Y'all be good. I'll see y'all later. Peace.